Thanks for checking out the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to see me play your deck, hang out with me in the amazing BoshNRoll community in Discord, access to my lists and sideboard guides before tournaments, book an individual coaching session, or just generally want to support what's going on here, check out the Patreon and YouTube membership options. For the finest Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, use code BoshNRoll for 10% off your order at coalesceapparel.shop. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. If you want to play what I'm playing, use my affiliate link to support the channel while you shop for cards at tcgplayer.com and play any deck anytime on Magic Online with a cardhoarder.com loan account. Thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic. Welcome back once again. Another day, another BoshNRoll video. Today I'm playing Legacy at the request of Patreon subscriber and one of my Discord mods, King of the Depths. This is his take on Mono Blue Delver. Mono Blue Delver is a pauper archetype, has been forever. There was also some cool stuff happening with Mono Blue right before Modern Horizons 2 got printed. There was some Ethereal Forager kind of value decks, even like Blue-White Delver. But these days, Expressive Iteration and Dragon's Rage Channeler firmly cemented is it as the way to play Delver. But King of the Depths says nay to that. And this is Mono Blue. The gains and losses here. The losses are, of course, Dragon's Rage Channeler and Expressive Iteration and Pyroblast. Those are all amazing cards. Expressive Iteration, of course, by itself changed everything Delver's capable of. Just recurring Mystic Sanctuary in the late game gives Delver a genuine draw engine that can outdraw the control decks while still having 1 mana 3/3s or 3 power creatures in the early game backed by Days in Wasteland. Pretty messed up. This deck loses that, but it gains a mana base based on Basic Island. Rather than 4 Volcanic Islands and a Steam Vents, there's just 6 basics here. We're never going to get cheesed out. We're never going to get Blood Moon. We're never going to get Wastelanded. Like, none of that stuff really affects us. This deck is also about $4,000 cheaper, just right off the top of that, because you don't need 4 Volcanic Islands. Most expensive card in this deck is Force of Will, which it's still not cheap if you're coming from nothing, but if you have any sort of Legacy or Eternal collection, Force of Will is one of those staple cards. Wasteland is the second most expensive card, and most of the price of the deck is in Force, Wasteland, and Fetch lands. Then we just have a bunch of dope spells and creatures. The threat base, of course, Delver of Secrets and Murktide Regent are still here. Those cards are blue. Don't lose anything with them. Rounding out the threat package, there's 2 Terramanders, which I have been known to call Terrible Mander in the past. This card did not live up to the hype when it was previewed. Everyone thought this was the next coming of Delver. It's a 1 mana 1/1 flying with Adapt 4. And what Adapt is, if you didn't play Limited during this Ravnica set, is if this creature has no +1 counters on it, put 4 +1 counters on it. The Adapt cost is 8, 7 and a blue, but it costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery in your graveyard. The dream here is you play it on turn 1, and by like turn 3 or so, you can gas it up into a 5/5 flyer. That is a pretty big creature. Or just in the mid game, you can top deck it, cast it for 1, adapt it for 1 right away, and have a 2 mana 5/5, which looks a lot like Murktide Regent. It never really bore out that way in Legacy, but I'm excited to try this card again, and I like that it's a responsible little 2-of. We're not super deep on Terramander. And there's Brazen Borrower, which is also played in regular Izzet Delver. The flexibility of removing a troublesome permanent and then also dropping into play as a 3-power flyer. Brazen Borrower shouldn't really need an introduction at this point. I'm actually pretty excited about all the spells in this deck, because this feels like old school Delver before it had draw engines. We've been in kind of a long run of some card advantage or game-breaking object just pushing Delver over the limits. Like, it was Deathrite Shaman, it was Oko, it was Wrenn and 6, it's currently Expressive Iteration, it was Ragavan before that. The shell is always on the verge of broken, but there was a long time where it was just efficient, obnoxious little spells that you have to punch your way through, and if you don't, you're going to die in 3-point chunks very quickly. Stifle is an old school Delver card. It supplements the Wasteland and the Daze as ways to beat up on mana. You can also stifle stuff like Thassa's Oracle or like the Uro Gain Life trigger if you just need to push 3 damage through. A Planeswalker activation. I mean, none of that's pretty, but if it just gets the job done, then it's good. 4 Daze, of course. 4 Force of Will, 1 Force of Negation. All of these are just blue cards that translate directly from regular Delver. Stubborn Denial as the extra counterspell here, along with Spell Pierce. Another card I've really enjoyed in Delver in the past is Spell Snare. The rules of engagement in Legacy are a little different than they were 8-10 years ago, whenever this golden age of Delver was, where Spell Snare 2-drops really were just the top of the format. Armogoyf was everywhere, Snapcaster Mage was everywhere. Now Expressive Iteration's a 2-drop, Thassa's Oracle's a 2-drop, Chalice of the Void. A lot of the stuff out of Death and Taxes, like Stoneforge Mystic and Spirit of the Labyrinth, Thalia. Like, there's a lot of powerful 2s that get played in Legacy. I'm going to trust King of the Depths with his numbers here, because he's put a lot of work into this. He's been posting about it in the Discord for quite some time and finally submitted it to the channel. But Spell Snare is a really cool card that I've enjoyed in this sort of deck in the past. But we got Spell Pierce and Stubby D to supplement the Daze and Forces. And the main deck removal, you got to give props to this. We've got a Pongify and a Rapid Hybridization. These are kind of the same card. Destroy target creature, can't be regenerated. That creature's controller creates a 3/3 green frog lizard token. And this one is same card, but it makes an ape instead of a frog lizard. This is because Legacy decks need removal, and Mono Blue is not known for its removal. And giving your opponent a 3/3, that's a big cost in Legacy. Like, our deck is based on attacking for 3, and giving your opponent the ability to do that is pretty rough. These could be cards like Vapor Snag that remove the creature from play and deal 1 damage, rather than remove the creature from play and give them a 3/3. But it does kill the creature dead and make it gone. And every single card in our deck has flying. We're just betting we can race the 3/3 on the ground. And I'm ready to take that bet. Let's do it. Big fan of Dress Down. This is a card you could play more of because it doesn't really affect any of the creatures in our deck, but it's really good against pieces of the format. One of your best things against Doomsday. It is the best thing against any Urza Saga deck. I like it against Elves and Death and Taxes too. It's an option. There is another one in the sideboard. And the sideboard also gives us more ways to bounce. Some answers to Urza Saga that I just mentioned. Energy Flux. How often that overlaps with Dress Down, where one wins a game and the other doesn't, is an interesting thing to talk about if you're really getting into the weeds on this deck. They're both great against 8 cast, but Dress Down has applications in other places where Energy Flux doesn't. And it's really just how hard do you want to beat, like, specifically 8 cast. And of course, 8 cast adjacent Urza Saga artifact decks, but 8 cast is the primary one. Spreading Seas functions as a cantripping wasteland. That's pretty cool. You can just Spreading Seas Thespian stage and don't worry about it. Spreading Seas in Urza Saga, it just dies. Good stuff. Dismember, the classic monocolor removal spell. Just this card has been a staple in all formats. It's legal since it was printed. I love a Subtlety. This is fun. I've gotten really into this card playing Modern lately, and I like seeing this one as just an extra tempo threat that also, you're going to get to 4 mana if you drag the game out at all, and then it's a really insane 4 mana 3/3 flyer that answers their thing temporarily. Really powerful. Chalice of the Void in the sideboard is a really bold choice. Obviously, we can't put it on 1 because that's our whole deck, but if you need to jam it into play on 0, there are decks that go busto, and you need to stop them on that axis, and we've got it. That's the deck. I mean, this is just pure blue tempo. If we are not clocking, we're probably losing, and you want to get ahead and stay ahead at all times. I'm excited about this. Let's do this thing. I'm on the play in round 1 with Delver Wasteland. Nobody can stop me. Snapkeep. In we go with the Delver. You got to play from ahead, so that's what I'm going to try to do. Not going to get clever, trying to Thought Scour and hit my land drop and do 2 things. Oh my god. Chalice of the Void matchup right off the bat. Well, let's hope I'm not dead. The good news is turn 1 Delver backed by Wasteland against Ancient Tomb decks is historically a good recipe, as long as they don't lock you out before you get anything going. Fiery Islet was the Delver trigger. No love there. I'm going to blast you with this Wasteland, though. Getting a second creature into play is really nice. If they do get a prison piece, I at least can keep bashing at this point. Let's do it. Here we are. Okay, it's red prison. Oh, no! That's cheating. That was somehow significantly worse than Chalice of the Void. I was feeling good, team. Now I just gotta hope they don't do anything. Like, they just kept Ancient Tomb, Chalice Fury, and they no longer function. That's what I need from my opponent right now. Okay. I'm gonna put back Polluted Delta and Wasteland, because I do need a shuffle here, and I might need to redraw with Fiery Islet. I think knowing that I need to find a threat off Fiery Islet is more important than maybe wasting their next land. It's mono blue mana base. Coming in clutch, though. BGAF about Blood Moon. Just give me a Murktide Regent. Let's ride. I do have a deck full of 1-drops. I'm going to draw a card, see if I could spike one. Kinda. I don't know. I mean, stifling the Fury trigger would have been nice. That's good to know, but I'm likely to board the Stifle out. God. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Stifle does have text against this card, but I think Force of Will is a better way to go. Just like, I could Stifle Make the Goblin, I could Stifle. Yeah, it's just not a good scene. That's going to get value through a Stifle no matter what. All right, I'll take this Wasteland. My Kingdom for Murktide Regent. Unlicensed Hearse. Oh no. I need Murktide Regent like now. They didn't tap their Hearse yet. No respect. Draw Murktide for the punish. Draw Murktide for the punish. They figured it out. Okay. Yeah, alright. We're falling apart here now. Hearse controls Terramander. It controls Murktide. We are in the garbage. I need a Delver, and it seems like my opponent's not really doing anything, and I do have good protection up. Archmage Charm, that's one of the spicier cards in this deck. If I find another land, we're doing stuff. Really weird that they're waiting on Hearse at all. Like, they should just be shutting down Murktide as aggressively as possible. Okay, well, the good news is they can't crew the Hearse, and they're clearly out of land drops. The bad news is we both have hands full of spells, and whoever breaks out of this first is going to be in a good position. I do have a grip full of soft permission against a deck full of expensive spells that's missing land drops. Oh, sweet relief. Okay, now I can at least Archmage Charm to draw 2 if I don't need to do anything else. I am going to rely on Daze and Spell Pierce to keep scary things out of play. Uh-oh. Layla, Blade Reforged. I used a Spirit Guide. I'm going to float a blue and Daze that. Hope they don't have another Spirit Guide. Cool. And with my floating blow, I'm going to draw 2 cards. Brazen Bee. Alright, there's a threat. A Hearse in my upkeep that is close enough to the correct time to do that. Replay my island, and now I can deploy a threat. If they're chilling, I'm going to start beating down. The secret mode on Rapid Hybridization is protecting my own creature from removal. Like, if they evoke Fury next turn, I can hybridize my own creature. Or they can make it dead right now. Ugh. Bummer. Okay, fine. We're back into garbage time. Soft permission versus drawing a threat. And 6 of my 12 creatures just don't even work. I'm gonna hardcast Daze. This seems like the best time to get value off of that. Stubbs and Spell Pierce don't get the goblins, but they get any planeswalkers or big stuff. My graveyard gone. There's so many cards under this Hearse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, Hearse got under control just in time. And the good news is, if I draw like Thought Scour, I can cast Thought Scour and, maintaining priority, jam Murktide. Oh, bad news, team. They found... Oh, God. Yep. We're losing to this one. No doubt about it. Guess if they get rowdy and try to attack with Hearse here, I can hybridize it, untap, play Murktide, and then hope for the best. But it would be insane to get that aggressive. Guess maybe from their position it seems reasonable. All right. I'm going to give you a frog lizard. Get out of here. Alrighty. That gives me Murktide Regent. About Thought Scour off the top. Make a bigger Murktide Regent. Unfortunately, I can't leave a mana up for Spell Pierce or Stubborn Denial, and they're going to put 2+1 counters on one of these creatures and just start bashing. Yep, 2 counters on that one. Well, they stomped my Murktide, so they have multiple stomp removal spells. I'm prepared to concede. Fingers on the button. Yep, we're out of here. Okay, Unlicensed Hearse in the main deck. Did it to it there. Subtlety seems really good. If they have Caves of Chaos Adventurer, that is a concern that I have. Word of Cunning is good here. Just smear them without having to attack. Force of Negation, extremely important. Dismembers in the maybe pile. This is kind of a big cost to pay. And if their creature is an initiative creature, then it doesn't even really answer the problem. Stifle is big bad. I guess I could stifle a you take the initiative trigger, but I don't really want to play to that world. Dress Down does stop the initiative from entering the game, but it doesn't do much else. I think it's worse than these other cards I'm trying to bring in. Echoing Truth to clear chalices and whatever. I don't really like Energy Flux because they can win games without playing a single artifact, or just paying 2 every turn to keep Chalice of the Void in play will still lock me out. The Dismembers are the last decision to make. Do I think they're better than Pongify? In the Pongify mode of destroy my own creature, flip it into a 3/3 and keep beating down. Like if I had 1 mana available when they deaded my Brazen Borrower and flipped it into a 3/3, that thing would have done a million that game. I'm going to run it without the Dismembers. I don't know if that's right, but it's what I'm going to do. The Pongifies are also blue cards for my massive pile of forces. Subtlety and Brainstorm, no 1-drop. I'll keep it. I'm going to lead on Scalding Tarn and pass the turn. If they go for Blood Moon, I'd rather just fetch a second basic and ignore that for the whole game than have to play around it or interact with it in any way. Now I can hardcast Daze or End Step Brainstorm as needed. Uh-oh, they're on the slow plan. I'm somehow more worried about that than if they came out guns blazing. End Step Brainstorm. There's the Merkfather. And I could put this other land on the bottom, or on top, and then shuffle, and then cast the other Brainstorm if I'm going for a velocity thing, but unlocking Archmage Charm seems worth doing. Could keep both lands and just play towards this hardcast Subtlety. I think I'm going to put Daze on the bottom, or in the deck. I keep saying on the bottom, because I know I'm going to shuffle. They are representing Pyroblast, which is a reason they would keep a hand that's this slow. And just try to make sure their spells resolve slowly over time. Motobug, drew the Daze. Ancient Tomb. Now they're not going to get dazed on any of their 3-drops now. Like Layla the Blade Reforged. And they are also showing Pyroblast. I think Archmage Charm to counter, and then back it up with Daze, untap Gem Murktide, protect that with Force of Will, is a potentially winning game plan here. Counter Layla. There's the Pyroblast. Oh, changed their mind. They are clearly representing Pyroblast, but they realized I was untapping into Murktide Regent, which isn't great for them either. I'm going to play my land before I play Murktide, in case I need to brainstorm into another answer here. Okay, there's Murktide. They're probably going to play around Daze by untapping before they Pyroblast. Or just give it to me. I'll Daze the Pyroblast. They didn't Spirit Guide me. Now I have Force Pitching Brainstorm, bridging the gap into Hardcast Subtlety, and that's my plan. Murktide's too big to get Furied. Just big enough. 5/5. They're bouncing Murktide. Is this the fight? I could just like wait a turn and replay this at some point. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Chalice on 1. I can Brainstorm in response. I think that's worth doing. Just get that in the graveyard because that affects Murktide pretty enormously. Put the Murktides on top. I have a 1-drop I can pitch to force. Also just start hard casting forces, hard cast subtlety. Like, we're kind of cooking here. I'm 1 card away from Murktiding. I could play Delver into the Chalice and then Murktide next turn, but I don't like that. I'm likely to cast one of these spells this turn. Something for 5 mana. Subtlety, it's your time to shine, buddy. Put it on the top or bottom, please. I'm sure they'll put it on top, but I am in a position to force it again next turn. They did put it on top. But the good news is Subtlety can attack my opponent, which means even if they take the initiative, I can take it back. I'm also pushing damage now, and Ancient Tomb is part of their mana base. Still a card short of Murktide Regent. I don't think drawing a card with Fiery Islet is the play right now, because hardcast force be close. And she's Ravager. Doesn't have haste or anything. Interesting. I'm gonna let them have that. I feel like that's bait. Yeah, told you. Caves of Chaos Adventurer is the real payoff here. Now I can force the Adventurer pitching Delver. And draw a card in my end step, untap, jam a sizable Murktide Regent. Yeah, they gave up. Okay, didn't fall for the bait. They kept a slow hand. Later on the Pyroblast, and then the Angie's Ravager at the end. No thanks. Ravager is interesting, though. That tells me they're on a very different deck than normal. Like, between Rabblemaster, War Boss, and Squee, there's so many 3-drops you can play in that slot before you reach for Angie's Ravager. That changed my interest in Dismember. It might. And Daze is a little worse on the draw. And I am going to change Rapid Hybridization over to Dismember now. I think they're going to kill me in big chunks. Like, being at 16 versus 20 for my removal spell, they're either going to deal 20 easily or like 0 over the course of a game. This hand's real bad. I'm gonna mulligan this one. No threat, not even good answers. Mulligan. Okay, this one has a force and a threat in it. I'm in. And I think we bottom one of the Brainstorms here, which, you know, hurts me as someone who loves to cast Brainstorm, but that's the cost of mulligans. And that's why we mulligan to force. This time, I think I got to give up Spell Pierce, even though, like, yeah, the Brainstorm stuff. All right. Giving up on Brainstorm the second time. I think I'd rather rebuild than try to play from ahead, because I have to tap out for Terramanda this turn. They get a whole turn to push through the Spell Pierce, and then I have to hope to untap with my card again. No thanks. If they follow up with, like, literally anything here, I'm in trouble. Chrome Mox. Force that. Wish I could. I did briefly entertain boarding in Chalice for 0 and just try to shut down the Chrome Moxin, but on the draw, it was not really a consideration. Naturally, Hearse shuts down what I'm trying to do here. They're also showing Pyroblast to see if they want to get aggro about it. They do not. Okay, that's good. I'm going to put away Polluted Delta and Fiery Islet because I am going to Wasteland this turn. I think that's my way forward here. Just don't let them play the game. They missed their land drop. They played Chrome Mox last turn and then passed without a land drop. Hearse is getting hungry, as it does. Found a land. My top card is Fiery Islet right now. I could just Thought Scour the 2 lands off the top of my deck. I think we can do better with Thought Scour. An attack for my 1 point here, and I am going to Brainstorm on my turn. I think if I find a Delver here, that's worth deploying. Oh, found a Wasteland, which is kind of nice, I guess, but I've already made my land drop for the turn. Please don't punish this. Hey, they're just passing the turn over there. I'm going to fetch in my upkeep. Clear those cards I don't want. I guess I could have fetched and Thought Scoured in the end step. That was probably the better play. Okay, here's my plan. I'm going to play Wasteland. I'm going to attack with Terramanda. And I'm going to Wasteland them in the end of combat. So, or after damage. So they've taken their damage. Now if they, like, stomp in response, at least I've gotten paid for it. Yep, exactly. And then I go to my second main and play the creature I actually wanted to be alive. Here we go. Just full garbage mode. Hope they never find mana to cast their spells. All right, they found another Shatter Skull Smashing. I'm going to use Thought Scour as kind of a build your own scry. If I don't like what I see off Delver, I'm going to get rid of it. Okay, I do like Daze quite a bit, actually. Please and thank you against the opponent who is struggling to make land drops. In for 3. Off we go. I'm probably just going to cash in all my resources in the end step. Just draw a card with Fire Islet, cast Thought Scour, untap with 2 mana, and a bunch of new cards in my hand. Else on 1. All right, I'll Thought Scour in response. What that comes up with. Oh, Stubborn Denial. That's a good card. I will also cast that one. Daze can hit creatures, which makes it slightly better than Stubborn Denial. Like if they go for a Fury at some point. That did cost me my full cash out. I didn't get to crack Fiery Islet, but at least I'm not playing against Chalice. In for 3. Keep it going. The kind of annoying thing here is I have to counter Bone Crusher Giant if it comes in, because this Unlicensed Hearse just kills me in 2 hits. Oh no, can't even Daze. But it is Ancient Tomb. The race is on. Ayla Blade Reforged. Okay, here she is. Opponent's at 5. Going for the extra card here, and they exiled Mountain. Not helpful. In step, I'm going to draw a card with Fiery Islet. Ooh. Unlicensed Hearse makes that mostly irrelevant. What? Okay, I'm going to fetch and see if they Hearse in response. They probably should. They didn't. This is a chump blocker for a giant Hearse, which is really all I need. Because I'm putting them to 2 here, and Ancient Tomb is their mana source. Okay, I mean, this is looking pretty good. Can't tap Ancient Tomb. Layla can attack. Get to draw another card and deal some damage. Found Fury. Okay. Yeah, because I found Murktide Regent, the Fury isn't enough. If they had just tapped their Unlicensed Hearse in my upkeep, they would have won this game. Assuming there's a red card in their hand. Wow. Close call, folks, but we did it. Just a little misstep is all it takes sometimes. On to the next round. This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and every other format you'll see on this channel. They have multiple customizations so you can view your deck how you want. Text view, stacks, grid, custom grouping by type, subtype, color, light mode, dark mode. However you want to see your deck, they can provide it for you. My favorite feature is you can choose your set printing, make the deck look exactly how you want it to. The deck screen features expandable sections that show you what tokens your deck makes, your recent change history to the deck, stats about mana curve and opening hand distribution, mana cost distribution. You can deal out sample hands and even play test the deck. Island Ponder. You know I'm keeping this one. This site has everything. Follow me on Moxfield.com to keep up with decks I'm playing for the channel and what I'm up to in paper. I'll see you there. I'm on the play in round 2 with a much less obvious hand than game 1 or round 1. No threat here. Spellpierce Daze Thought Scour is a lot of action. I'm going to keep this for science. I would not keep this hand on the draw. Yeah, if one card at random in this hand was even just Terramander, I would be so soaked. Another Mountain strategy. They didn't have a 1-drop. I'm going to Thought Scour myself. Stifle, okay. Alright, hit the second land, always had it, too easy, etc. Now I can hardcast Daze. I also have Stifle, Spellpierce available. I could Spellpierce, Stifle, and Daze. I could Daze twice. I got options here. Oh my god. Basic Island, Basic Mountain. I don't know what's going on over there. But I know I have Archmage's Charm available. Hit my land drops, no problem. Is this Sneak and Show? Is that what's going on over there? I'm going to draw 2 cards in my end step. I need to find a threat. Do love casting Archmage's Charm. That is a delightful magic card full of words that I like to read. A Murktide Regent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exactly the correct number of things. That's just good depth. Murktide Regent's in there. I got 7 cards in my hand. Many of them are free counter spells. Do this thing. Oh no, they're just some like basic land heavy Jeskai control. Swords to Plowshares. I can make Swords to Plowshares cost 1, 2, 3, 4 more. It just cost me my whole board. But really not doing anything else. Moving in. This just became a nightmare. It went from just fine to, oh my god, we're dead. Days and days. Here's all of my permanents. All my permanents are gone. My hand is different now. Feels bad, but I'm here for it. It's what we signed up for. In for 6, and off we go. Yeah, they haven't used a fetch land either. All these basic lands just came right out of their hand. A 5th basic land. Fairy Time Raveler. Well, you've seen this trick before. Let's do it again. Unfortunately, specifically to Fairy here, means I can't stifle the bounce trigger, which is where I would have liked to go here. But like if that was Wandering Emperor, I could have just stifled the activation of Exile the Murktide. But it's not that. It's something different. Okay, I'll attack you. I'm out of stuff, out of tricks here. I guess if exactly what we just said happens, like if they go land Wandering Emperor, I can stifle and continue the beats. Finally, a target for Stifle. Jeez. Another Stifle, yeah. Well, if this connects, we're in Pongify range. Like the next Swords to Plowshares, even if I can't answer it, I can flip my dragon into a monkey and finish it off. Ape Spash. Look at the teeth on this monkey. Oh my god. This thing is very seriously not messing around. Face the Mind Sculptor. Are you ready to get your bounce trigger stifled or bounce activation stifled? This feels like 2012 Legacy, like for real, for real. This whole game, just scrapping by with soft counters, stifling to keep a card in play. Big money. I even have the second stifle and the monkey here if they decide they really need to fight over this. Which, I mean, they're dead if they don't. Yeah. Mono blue. Nasty, scrappy magic. Do what you gotta do. Get it done. Court of Cunning's coming in. Dress Down's coming out. Subtlety looks amazing in this matchup. Force of Negation as well. Wasteland seems actively bad. Spreading Seas, though, is really good. Like, if they're going to be playing on, like, 3 islands, a mountain, and a plains, and I could Spreading Seas the plains, I'm off white. This is kind of the when Wasteland is bad, Rishadan Port is good, and vice versa situation, with Spreading Seas standing in as Rishadan Port. Because dual lands let you play around Rishadan Port effects by you're never cut off a color by one land being turned off. But Wasteland punishes dual lands by just killing lands, and Spreading Seas knocking out a single source of a color. Pretty big deal. I actually think Spreading Seas, I can cut a Wasteland in this matchup. A Dress Down Wasteland. There's only 18 lands in the deck, and I do have some colorless mana sources, so I'm not going to go like completely ham cutting Wastelands, but it's there. Daze did a lot of work in this game, but it was ugly work that I don't really want to sign up for again. I'm bringing in Force of Negation Subtlety to kind of help with that situation. And I got to find 2 more cuts here. Maybe one of the Stifles. And, oh, nope, I can't count. We're there. It was 5 cards in, 5 cards out. Perfect, let's do it. And we drew the single Wasteland for mana hand. Gonna mulligan this one. This is much better. Keep it and send. Do I need 2 forces? I think I'm going to send Force of Will to the bottom. The Force of Will I can cast on my own turn. All right, Force of Negation to the bottom, because I'm likely going to try to protect this Court of Cunning is my game plan, and just stick that and go coast to coast with it. Island Ponder, respectable, but I plan to beat you up for it. They did not shuffle their Ponder. Another Force of Will. Okay, so I'm going to play Delver, and then I'm going to Brainstorm to try to hit my land drops. I really need to hit land number 3 on time. They're going to have Pyroblast. They saw that I'm mono blue. They're going to have Pyroblast and Swords to Plowshares and Prismatic Endings and just pile up on me here. Blooded Strand, here it comes. Basic Plains, Stoneforge Mystic. I beat Stoneforge Mystic. That does mess up my whole plan of Jam Court of Cunning. I am going to Force of Will this. If I had the land for Brazen Borrower, maybe I fight this on a different axis, but I don't, so let's go. Brainstorm. Flip this Delver. Cast the Brainstorm. Come on, lands. 2 lands right away. You love to see it. I'm going to put back... I need both Wasteland and Court of Cunning in my hand next turn. I'm going to put back Brainstorm and Wasteland. Right, so that gives me Force Blue card and Court of Cunning next turn, which is what I need from my life. I guess I was thinking I want to save Brainstorm so I can pitch Thought Scour, but I'm losing whatever blue cards in my hand, and Scalding Tarn makes me shuffle. So maybe I should have just kept the blue card and hope they don't have Force. Oh no. Once again, like, this Court of Cunning is just my plan. I just can't let them have a creature, which sucks, because I would like to fight over this rather than over these creatures. I'm going to attack first, see if they have anything to say about that. Also, good chance they just boarded out their forces for this matchup. Hope that's true. Here's my court. We're in there. And we got at least a card off it. I am the Monarch, even if Court of Cunning gets blasted or removed somehow on their turn. I'm drawing extra cards now. Really tough place to put the control deck against Delver. Oh, come on, Blue Source. Please don't flash in Spectral Sailor. Okay, we got away with it. Okay, they found red. If they want to unlock Pyroblast here. Face the Mind Sculptor. All right, it's party time, kids. They can bounce Delver, and then it's just Court of Cunning versus their deck points. Okay. About to get crazy. I'm going to hit you. They might have Timeless Dragon in their deck as far as graveyard stuff goes. I think holding up the counterspell is better than replaying the Delver. Drawing an extra card from the Monarch. All right, I've drawn both Wastelands that are in my deck. Not ideal. See, Hydroblast. Oh, 3 Force of Wills just at the graveyard, so they still have their forces in. Brainstorming with Jace. I very clearly have a counterspell because I didn't replay my Delver. Like, that is as obvious as possible. Pyroblast. I'm going to counter it because this is the play pattern I signed up for. 3 cards in their hand. A second Pyroblast does it. If they can play a creature here, they can take the Monarch 2 turns out. Okay, second Pyroblast confirmed. And there was no opportunity to Wasteland there. They would have just floated the red. Okay, I'm still the Monarch. But they have Jace the Mind Sculptor. I'm going to Brainstorm and hope I don't get Hull Breached. Trying to think of cards they might have in their deck. Brazen Borrower, there's Jace. And like, I can bounce Jace and then force it on the way back down. Then I'm the Monarch and they're not a Jace. And they don't have Jace. I get the Monarch trigger in the end step. I put back Wasteland and Delver. But I do also want to waste them. And I do everything I want to do here. If I waste you, I can do everything I want to do here. Yeah, it's cool. All right. Put back Wasteland and Delver. Then waste you. Bounce Jace. I might even be able to daze the Jace and not have to force it if they don't have a land. And then, okay, there's a creature in exile, a threat waiting to be deployed. There's a Delver that I'm about to draw off the Monarch trigger. I got 2 threats. I could even daze and force negation. Really make sure this Jace doesn't happen. They have the land. I'm not getting away with that one. But I can daze a Pyroblast, so I think I have to pitch Delver to this force. Really make sure this doesn't happen. Kind of hope they do have the Pyroblast. Disappointing. Okay. Could have kept my Delver. Wasteland for your next one. I could also just draw with Fire Islet, but having Brazen Borrower in exile gives me some more reason to hold on to stuff. Oh, Archmage's Charm. It's coming together. King of the Depths. This is a cool deck you have constructed, I gotta say. Counter a target spell. Yeah, this is how we lose. If they pick a Stoneforge and really start pressuring me. If they take the Monarch, it's over. Down to 1 card in hand. Another counter spell. Don't mind if I do. Monarch. What is this, 4 or 5 cards off the Monarch this game? It's good stuff. Good chance this Brazen Borrower gets just plowed immediately, but they have 2 cards in their hand. Let's get one of them out. And I don't think I force if they fight over this Brazen Borrower. Me being in the position of the Monarchy just gives me so much agency over this game. I can take my time. Another counterspell, and one that also does damage. Fucking love subtlety. Fighting Seas, we could take them off white. And Scalding Tarn doesn't fetch basic planes, so they'd have to fetch into Wasteland if they ever want to cast a white spell. It's all coming together. Snapcaster Mage. Okay. This is a card I had some concern about being in their deck. I'm just going to subtlety it. I could have fetched cast subtlety with that, leaving up Wasteland, so if they leave Snapcaster on top, I waste their Scalding Tarn, and they can lose the land or keep the Snapcaster. But I think that's mostly a waste of a Wasteland, because Snapcaster is just fine with the mana they have. Snapcaster was put on top. I can follow it up with the Force of Will. But now I have 2 threats anyway, and it's not even that much of a deal. Snapcaster, I'm going to pitch the Daze. I just love the idea of spreading seas so much. Get away from it. I also don't think Daze is helpful at this point in the game. No reason to fetch. I don't know what's on top of my deck. I'm going to make my attack first. Opponent's at 2 with 1 card in their hand. Spreading Seas. Love when a plan comes together. Take you off white. Floating white mana. Oh, you did have the plow the whole time. Sneaky, sneaky. But now you're hellbent. Dead on board. No white mana. I drew a Brainstorm. Yeah, I don't think Daze is a good card, and getting a second threat on the board here would be great, so I'm going to Brainstorm now. Archmage Charm, Stifle. I do like the Stifle. I'll keep the Stifle in the Archmage Charm. I can shuffle before I draw Thought Scour, or I can draw the Thought Scour. I'm going to shuffle first. I'm 1 island short of just putting Force Will on top of my deck and drawing that off the Monarch, and enjoying my free lunch here. Oh yeah, removal doesn't work now, because I can monkey up, or frog up in this case. Oh, I think they just tried to cast a fairy, but they don't have the mana for it. Oh no, it's Narset. Bummer. I was talking shit. Hey, I'm just going to stifle the Narset activation, and then the game's over, because they're hellbent. 2 games in a row won by stifling a Planeswalker activation. That's the thing I said in the deck tech that could come up. Good stuff. Scrappy little 2012 style Delver. 2-0, let's roll.
You come here to level up at Magic. To level up as a software engineer, check out the new YouTube series Dev Better, hosted by the founder of 7-Factor Software and Magic player, Jeremy Duvall. 7-Factor's small teams of high-performing engineers build custom mobile apps, APIs, and highly scalable systems for Fortune 500 companies and ambitious startups with great ideas. If you'd like to hire 7-Factor, or maybe join their team, contact them through their website at 7factor.io. And don't forget to subscribe to 7-Factor's YouTube for every episode of Dev Better.
On the play for round 3 with the cursed Fiery Islet 1-lander. It's better than a Wasteland 1-lander. I will keep it. I can Thought Scour, see a bunch of cards before I have to cast another spell. It would really suck to be Wastelanded out of a game in this deck built to not get Wastelanded out of games. Play my land and pass here. Either Vial. Okay, this is not a card that my deck wants to play against at all. Gonna force it, pitching one of the Thought Scours. So this is looking like Merfolk, based on basic island Aether Vial. The Esper Vial decks, I guess this could be Cephalid Breakfast. That is also a deck that could have this start, the 60 card breakfast. Found the land on the first cantrip. I love when things are easy. I'm going to Brainstorm first, see if I can come up with a Delver or a fetch land. Wasteland's in the maybe pile. If I can Thought Scour to clear the cards I don't like here. I'm going to put Pongify and Wasteland on top. There's a chance that I don't want Wasteland against this deck. There's a chance I don't want Pongify. I can also just Thought Scour my opponent and draw Wasteland Pongify, which clears the Brainstorm a turn early. Okay, I definitely want both of these cards now. You got me, opponent. You talked me into it. I'm going to Thought Scour my opponent. They should not be using their graveyard as a resource in any meaningful way in Merfolk, but having Wasteland and a removal spell against Cavern of Souls and Merfolk is pretty nice. Wasteland you. I'm going to start there. Unfortunately, I just kind of got to chill. Or no, that's not true. I can brainstorm. My deck plays 1-drops. I think I got to play to the spikes in this case. Mystic Sanctuary is really bad. Sanctuary and Hybridization on top. And pass the turn. Yeah, just trying to spike Delver or Terramander there and get it into play is probably the correct play pattern. It just didn't work out for me. Now I gotta hope they're just out of gas. They were all in on Aether Vial Cavern and stopped both of them. Looks like my dreams are not being answered. Passing the turn. Is this Merfolk Trickster? What is in the Merfolk deck that they wouldn't cast with 2 mana if they had it? There's also a super slow, miserable play pattern of Pongify a Merfolk and then steal the... Oh, right, this Flash Lord. This very good, powerful Flash Lord that I probably should have countered is the answer to my query. But yeah, Pongifying one of these Merfolk and then taking control of the token on subsequent turn. All right, become a frog. This does take 4 damage out of combat as it kills a 3/3. It kills an attacking 3/3 that's also buffing the other attacking creature and gives them a non-attacking 3/3. I'm drawing Mystic Sanctuary. Not great. They're vile. At this point, I can't fight over it. I need a Murktide like 2 turns ago and really race this thing. They're kind of the same deck as me, but more coherent. And we're kind of live for Steal the Frog. Not really where I wanted to be, but here it is. It's hit or miss if these decks even have a 1-drop anymore. And I'm going to take the Frog. They can counter it with the Hex Catcher, or if they have a Flash Merfolk or a 1-drop, they can Violin. It's very easy for them to counter this card. It's just if they care. I'm looking forward to the desperate stage of the game where I have to Pongify a Frog Lizard token. Become a different animal and leave me alone for a turn. Okay. They did, in fact, counter that. And if I had Vindicate in my hand, I probably would have targeted X-Catcher with it, so that was not the worst use of resources. They decided to make it a 1-for-1 instead of a 2-for-1. Last Pool Mimic. Yep, second Frog. Delver's here. Gonna draw a card. Terrible Mander. Oh my god. It's in non-terrible mode. Are we actually there? We're in big juicy Terramander territory? Yeah, we are. Gas up. You don't have to do this as a sorcery, but I did. I was just so ready. Crack it off. I'm good. I think if they're Glasspool mimicking a Frog Lizard token and sacrificing Vidalian Hexcatcher to keep their Frog Lizard token, they're probably kind of floundering over there. This is required counterspell, because this is the only thing keeping me alive. Hexcatcher through the vial blows me out here. You had the force. Okay. Well, Terramander goes back to my hand. They attack me to 3. Then I play 2 creatures and hope they never find another one, even though there's one on an adventure right now. Oh. Well, mana short of doing this. What does this game look like? If I play Delver and Terramander, I chump with Delver, eat 1 with Terramander, and then Brazen Borrower's live for next turn. And I can work through their Frog Lizards. Oh no. Yeah, if something comes out of this vial, we're dead. This could be just a fake out. No, it was an actual lethal creature. Sure. Yeah, we spent way too much time. It's turn 7, and I just got my real threat online. We spent way too much time farting around that time. Subtlety remains awesome. Force of Negation, pretty bad. Dismember's great. Sort of Cunning is bad. Rest Down's kind of interesting, because it can knock the various buffs and Island Walk off of creatures for a turn. But I don't think that's really a game plan I want to play too. Spell Pierce, Stifle. I could Stifle a Vial activation. That could be pretty big. But Stifle seems kind of medium here. I do want my Force of Wills, even though they're a Vial Cavern deck, because I am also a Wasteland deck. And that might be one of the best ways I can keep a creature off the board. An important creature when the time is there. Echoing Truth should be in as well. I think Stifle is the worst card here. Do I want any dress downs? Do I want 0, 1, or 2 dress downs, I guess is the next layer. I could also bring in Spreading Seas as more wastelands, like turning off Cavern or Mutavault. They are a blue deck, so I'm not getting like the full sinkhole value that we were getting against the control deck last round of taking them off a color. I think Spreading Seas is a better cantrip than Dress Down for this deck. Weird as that sounds. Against Merfolk. And I'm really not impressed by it. Well, Spell Pierce might be worse than Stifle. Sometimes they have Chalice. We've seen Force of Will. We've seen Aether Vial. Just trying to think of what my Spell Pierce is going to target. Oh, Petty Theft. Yeah, that's a thing that can be targeted. Okay. This looks like a reasonable configuration to me on the play. Yuck. I don't like this hand. I want to be attacking my opponent. Oh no! Well, I think I'm gonna roll with this. I will keep this and put a Murktide on the bottom. I don't like it. There's like 2 tech lands in the deck. It's the 1 Mystic Sanctuary and the 1 Fiery Islet, and we've had 1 landers with each of them in this match. Merfolk is like 50-50 on playing Wasteland anymore. Their mana's really bad, and they're trying to stretch for Mutavaults and stuff. So some decks just don't even do it. I'm going to Delver first, and then I'll worry about Brainstorm later. If I'm attacking, every turn where I'm attacking, the game is better than turns where I'm not attacking. Wow, Force of Will on my Delver. I mean, I have Terramander. I don't know what this tells me. I guess it tells me they don't have a good plan for a 3/2 flyer. Okay, just land go. They're in the control seat over there. Delian Hexcatcher in my upkeep. I think now's the time to brainstorm. Oh no. Well, I technically still have a land drop here. Bad though. I'm gonna daze the Hexcatcher. What a weird sequence we find ourselves in here. Then I'm gonna replay this tapped land and pass the turn. Weird, ugly little magic here. Just wasteland me, get it over with. Let me concede. Silvergill Adept, Revealing Master of the Pearl Trident. I think I'm more worried about the Master. But I'm worried about all of it, honestly. Any one of these things kills me. Oh, you're a Wasteland deck. Yeah, we're good. I don't need to let you all watch me be miserable while I hope to draw through my Brainstorm card and then also get out of this game somehow. Tough beats. I'm willing to believe should have gone to 5, but as far as awkward one-landers go, Delver, Terramander, Brainstorm with Force of Will backing it up is not that bad. So, didn't work this time. On to the next round. We're a few rounds into the video. Thanks for sticking with me. Friendly reminder that if you're still here and having fun, smash that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, you can use my affiliate link for TCG Player to support the channel while you shop for cards, and you can try any deck anytime with a cardhoarder.com loan account for Magic Online. All these links are in the video description below. Now back to the league. On the play for round 4 with a much better hand. I'm going to keep this one. It has one of the more expensive threats in Brazen Borrower, but it's got a lot of action on the way up there. Uh-oh. The mirror match. I'm going to Thought Tower myself in response to Channeler. Or I can float blue and daze it. Yeah, I think I might have to get kind of ugly here because they're me but better. And I'll Thought Scour myself with the floating blue. Delver Archmage's Charm into the graveyard. I normally don't recommend wasting Delver, but I'm going to try it this time. I'm a very different deck than like an Uro deck with 2 Wastelands in it. I'm an actual tempo deck. Okay. No problem. Just had the land ponder for the next land. This is the real test. Beating the version of our deck that has more powerful spells. Oh, committing to this life now. Just keep EIs off the stack. They kept their ponder, so I assume they have another land. But keep EIs and Murktides off the stack as long as I can. Seems like a reasonable play. Sucks that I had to daze on turn 1. I guess I didn't have to, but I chose to daze on turn 1, which sets me back from the normal development. Or like normally on the play, if you're like wasting, but also doing stuff, it's pretty good. But instead, pretty bad. It was interesting they fetched during my turn. It's like they're daring me to waste them a third time. Unless they were playing around Stifle. Mystic Sanctuary. Okay, so they're on awkward mode too. I'm going to brainstorm in the end step. I need to get some velocity going. Oh, there's a Stifle. They may have just seen that. Can stifle their draw trigger. I think I can do better though. And I'm going to pass here. I want to be able to shuffle away the Mystic Sanctuary on top of my deck. Don't want to draw that. ERC has arrived. It is fully delirious. But now I'm ready for it. Unlike turn 1, like we basically just spent 5 turns dancing around Dragon's Rage Channeler. Now I'm more prepared to fight it though. I can try to steal it and back it up with Force of Negation, or I could just bounce it with Brazen Borrower. I could also trade with it with Brazen Borrower. I think I'm going to take 3, bounce it in the end step, see where the game goes from there. If they Murktide, I'd rather bounce that. And there it is. In the end step, let's Petty Theft this Murktide Regent. It is back in the hand. I think I want to keep using these Velocity Brainstorms rather than like, air quotes, good Brainstorms. Is Stifle a good card? If I put Force of Negation, Spell Pierce back on top in that order, then I can play Delver this turn. In my land, play Delver. I know Delver's going to flip. I can also protect it with Spell Pierce. I can Force of Will Murktide Regent now. I cannot Spell Pierce that one. They've played around it successfully. And that means I want to get rid of the Force of Negation on top of my deck. Cool thing I can do here is Mystic Sanctuary, pick up Archmage's Charm. Yeah, this is my EI endgame. I have Archmage's Charm instead of EI. And I'd rather Brazen Borrower here. Are they going to daze me picking up their Sanctuary? They are. Okay, sure. All right, get that thing out of here. Clear the daze. Move towards the plan I've been executing on this whole time, which is Archmage Charm for value. We know they're holding Murktide. Gotta respect that one. I can stifle Mystic Sanctuary. I just don't think that's a line I want to take. They know about one of these Archmage Charms. I'm gonna counter this Murktide. I have Spell Pierce for a Force or a Pyroblast. Cool, handled. Really need a threat though. I think their Dragon's Rage Channeler is as good a threat as anything. Alright, I'm gonna try to steal it. It's go time. They just kill their own creature in response. That does work. Once again, changing it from a 2-for-1 to a 1-for-1. Same thing my previous opponent did by eliminating the creature instead of letting me have it. I'll scour myself in the end step. Wow, that's an aggressive daze. You can have it, sure. I did not think they were going to daze there, even if they had it, but I guess so. I mean, I have 4 mana. You might as well get your money where you can. Yeah, that was a good daze, and it was a bad thought scour for me. Force of Will, pitching Stifle. Oh, and they were just trying to get any velocity going for this Murktide. Force, pitching Force, and Spell Pierce, baby. I know they're holding Mystic Sanctuary and 1 mystery card. I hope their mystery card isn't Pyroblast. Okay, is that all the Murktides? 1, 2, 3. There's 1 more in there. Angavai, hell yeah. We're going ape on the next Murktide that shows up. Wasteland. Wasting me, yeah, whatever. Thought Scour. I'll scour myself now. See if I come up with a threat. Found a land. My Mystic Sanctuary is gone already, so that's not helpful. Alright, we're just playing draw go. Okay, there's a threat and an answer. This is where their deck having Lightning Bolt in it is a lot better than my deck not having Lightning Bolt in it. I do have the 1-2 punch of Pongify a Murktide Regent, bounce the token. There's a lot of cool synergies with the tokens between stealing them or bouncing them. And I am going to sit on this Brazen Borrower, which feels weird to try to be a control deck against a deck with EI. But at the same time, there's a Murktide Regent in there somewhere. There's Delvers, there's DRCs, could be Ledger Shredders, I don't know. There's definitely Lightning Bolts, there's probably Pyroblasts. I don't think this Brazen Borrower is going to carry on its own. There we go, see? Told you it was in there. Okay, let's go ape here. I love this ape token. It's just action mode. Coming at you. Full ape business. That's all 4 Murktides, by the way. Okay, and they didn't bolt their ape. Don't know why they would, but they didn't. Yeah, like bolting the ape fizzles the adventure, but they could also just bolt Brazen Borrower later and let me sink another 3 mana into it. So bolting Ape doesn't make a lot of sense there. I'm not going to give them value up days. I'll be very patient on the Brazen Borrower here. The Terramander, heck yeah. Not so terrible now, are you? I'm going to let them fetch here. I think having a blue card to pitch to Stifle is better than stifling their 5th land. They have another one in their hand, right? I can sit on Terramander for a minute, or I can just make my move. Well, putting it into play is actually mostly free, because I don't need to evolve or adapt as a sorcery. So it's just sort of like chicken. Oh, this is worth a Force of Will to me. I think this card rules in this particular spot. Would they have Pyroblasted it if they had Lightning Bolt? Well, I don't want to give them the choice. I'll just let my 1/1 hang out. Casual 1/1, nothing to see here. They just rebought Pyroblast with the Mystic Sanctuary they've been sitting on forever. I'm not going to give them value on days, especially now that they are holding Mystic Sanctuary. I will go for the evolution here. Whatever. Now that they've shown me they can kill it no matter what size it is, let's just go. Stubborn Denial. Good thing I have a 5/5 in play. Sign me up. Nice Pyroblast. Take 8. Oh my god. We are somehow turning this one around. Wow. Yeah, well, by somehow I mean they cast 0 expressive iterations that whole game. That's how we did that. All right, Subtlety, get in the deck. Spreading Seas really awkward against the Daze deck. They could just pick it up. Not interested. Dismember, I do want. Alice is worse for me than it is for them, so definitely not doing that. Wasteland is possible if I can go for the cheese strat. Force of Negation comes out. Dress Down comes out. Those are easy ones. Don't really love all these Force of Wills. Echoing Truth has play, but I am the scrappy underdog here. Punching through with my forces does matter. They've seen my Stifles, which makes them worse. And it's not like a Rockstar in the matchup anyway. If I were going to bring in the Wasteland, I'd make sure to have all the Stifles, because that's just a full package. And on the draw, Stifle's worse as well. I don't think I can play Court of Cunning against the deck that's going to have somewhere between 4 and 8 Pyroblasts after board, and also as many creatures as me. A Stubborn Denial and Spell Pierce are pretty nice. Maybe I can shave a Force of Will to get another Wasteland in. Still don't love Stifle on the draw, but I do want all my Wastelands available. I'll keep this. Hard to know what a great hand looks like, because it's not like I can have Swords to Plowshares or Lightning Bolt in my hand. I got Dismember. Give it to me. Well, they started with Ponder. I like that. They also fetched a basic first. They're scared of my Wastelands. I brought the Ruckus last game. Delver. Let's start there. Whoa, nice Wasteland. And me with 6 basic islands in my deck. Do not shuffle the Ponder. All right, Delver, let's ride. Brainstorm on top. Yes, please. Draw for turn. Cast my Brainstorm. They have been hyper aggressive with Dazes in this match so far. All right. Fair enough. Setting yourself back a land when you don't have access to red and just played a Wasteland with no target, it could be worse. Not holding up Spell Pierce here is kind of a bummer. They let it get to my turn, I'll have it again. Oh, had the land. Cool. All right, now we're just cooking. It's weird that they saw Stifle and then let me turn around here, but they do need to fetch red. I know they're holding their basic. Okay, no. They're playing around Wasteland by playing into Stifle, and yeah, that does make sense to me. Since I'm ahead here, I'm just gonna pass, make sure my Spell Pierce doesn't get dazed on the return fire. Can't Spell Pierce Lightning Bolt from this position anyway, but I do like this end step Brainstorm. Brainstorm. Fetch in response, go for it. Is it Pyroblast or Lightning Bolt? And is it on Brainstorm or Delver? Eating my Delver. Yep, it's dead. Can't Spell Pierce that. Mystic Sanctuary. I think I'd rather miss a land drop than play Sanctuary tapped at this point. So I put back Sanctuary, and Dismember could be really important, but I think their creature is going to be Murktide. And I'll scour myself in the end step. This one, I genuinely don't care if they daze it. I am gassed up here on interaction, and I'm going to tap out of Archmage Charm to get Delver into play. They're the control deck in this matchup, not me. Gotta present a threat. Spell Pierce, yes please, get it out. This is the card that they have that I don't. This is the card that has me scared of this matchup. And no thank you. I am not going to brainstorm to aggressively flip Delver. We got there anyway. Trying Stifle here. Just the ability of holding up a 1-for-1 hard counter in this position where I'm ahead and pushing for damage versus like flipping the Delver. I'd rather be able to Archmage Charm. I'm not going to brainstorm either. I'm just going to hold up Charm for the rest of my life. Drawing the land, good stuff. Put you to 6. Wow, this damage is just going through. I don't know what 6 cards are in their hand right now that are not good. Okay, they were just playing careful around the... I'm going to force this. This is why I left Force of Will in my deck. It's to punch through with my worse creatures than theirs. And we're doing it. And I have the necessary land composition to Archmage Charm a spell this turn, and then rebuy Archmage Charm going into my turn. I'm not sure why I forced instead of Archmage Charmed that Lightning Bolt. That was kind of brainless. I'm not going to Brainstorm. Brainstorm is a blue card for Force of Will. I can hardcast Force. I don't think I want to, though. I am going to make my land drop. This Brainstorm is a blue card for Force to push damage over the finish line. That is its entire job right now. Counter target spell. I'll counter Lightning Bolt. How about that? All right, we're in the danger zone. They have 5 mana left, or 5 cards in their hand, 4 mana. Finding the second red means they can push through Force of Will with Lightning Bolt. Force of Will. Did we get there? Nope, they're still tapping red mana. Yeah, finding that second red source was tough. I'm going to put Archmage Charm on top of my deck. Now that they've punched through, it's going to be a lot harder to win. Like, my deck doesn't have Lightning Bolt to get those last 2 points across. I do have to resolve a creature and attack with it. RC, okay. They just shoved that into the face-up Archmage Charm. They must have an answer. Or balance. That's really interesting. They tapped out of red. I'm going to borrow your 3/3 in response to counterbalance. That's not the result I was expecting, but GG. We beat Is It Delver with Mono Blue Delver. We've confirmed that this is the better Delver deck. Lock it in. We've broke Legacy. For the absolute best Magic the Gathering apparel on the market, check out the link in the video description to coalesceapparel.shop, and be sure to use the code BoshNRoll for 10% off when you check out. I'm on the draw for the final round against a friendly fan of the channel. Thank you, Nyctophobia, for your support. I'm going to keep this hand. It's got a land, it's got Delver, and it's got stuff to do. Let's go. Please pass the turn without cracking that. Bummer. Bummer. They're playing around Stifle already. Very smart. Oh, it's Death Shadow. This will be interesting. Have a look. Point of view. You just thought seized an opponent and saw a bunch of blue cards. Yeah, this is going to be ugly and scrappy, and I'm kind of excited about it. The Force of Will. Okay. A reasonable decision to make. I'm going to put my Delver into play and chip it. There is a reasonable argument to, like, hold up mana and pass, because Death Shadow is a super land light deck. Stifling a fetch could put them on 1 land for the rest of the game. Stubborn Denial hits him to Tarok and scary things like that. They seem to be passing the turn into the face-up Stifle, though. Flip Delver, Revealing Days, let's go. And then if they didn't do anything I needed to Stifler stub, I could have Thought Scoured, but I do like pushing damage. Even though it's Death Shadow and I'm helping them. Worth it. Okay, here's the Stifle I promised you. You're stubbing my Stifle. I'm going to daze your stub. You daze me back. We both just have no lands in play. Or you end up with 1 land at the end of this. Okay. Miss your land drop past the turn. That also means the Ponder wasn't shuffled. So if they floated any less than desirable cards on top there, they're stuck with them. In for 3. And I can Thought Scour to guarantee Murktide next turn. I can Terramander. I could hold up Stubbs. I don't think I want to hold up Stubbs. I think I want a Terramander and next turn hold up stubs. Like, I don't want to pass the turn in a spot where Snuff Out stabilizes the board. If you Snuff Out, I want you at 4 and still facing down a creature. Wasteland? Yep, don't care. Being largely Wasteland proof has been amazing in these last 2 tempo mirrors. This looks like Gurmag. Trying to think of what you would float these colors of mana for. You can't Murktide with the mana you have. Okay, a Petty Theft, emergency Petty Theft, fair enough. That plays pretty well into my efficiency line that I lined up, maximizing on 1-drops. I just replay the Delver, hold up Stubborn Denial, and I can Thought Scour if they don't do anything. If they Snuff Out here, it costs 4 life to cast the spell, and then I just counter it. Not too shabby. Most of their lands hurt them too, so it costs 3 life to put Brazen Borrower in front of one of my 1-power creatures. Okay, we're there. They did find the land. No Stifle this time. Yeah, the Underground Sea is the out for situations like this one. Uh-oh, it is Murktide. Okay, I'm going to Thought Scour in response in case I spike Force of Will, because I'm going to Thought Scour to set up my own Murktide anyway. All right, I didn't find Force. It's all good. It also powers up Terramander. Terramander and Murktide are not a combo, unfortunately. My Murktide is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My Murktide's bigger. I am playing into Daze here. I could Brainstorm, play another Delver, try to go wide on this opponent. I kind of like that. Dress Town sucks. I do like the land. I don't need 2 Murktides in my hand, and I do want to flip Delvers next turn. I put Murktide and Force of Negation on top in my land, play Delver. Terramander costs 2, so I can flip both Delvers and gas up Terramander with Stubby D protection next combat and just mash around this Murktide. They can play Brazen Borrower to stay alive, and then they have the biggest creature in Murktide. So there's going to be some very careful jockeying from both players over the next 2 turns or so. I think if they attack, they just lose. Yeah, and they seem to agree. Delver, reveal this Force of Negation. Do it twice. I could deploy Murktide now, but then that gives up on Terramander forever. I could hold up Terramander with Stubborn Denial and Force of Negation for a turn cycle, and then Murktide next turn with Stubby D fully active. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. There's Borrower. It's fine. I'm not going to Stubby D a Ponder. I don't think that's the look. And my next card down is also Murktide Regent. If they draw like Thoughtseize this turn and go for Murktide, that's not going to work well for them. Brainstorm. Nah, whatever. You can have it. With the life total this precarious, the Shockland mana base is a real cost now. They haven't found a Death Shadow, so they've basically been a blue tempo mirror where all their lands hurt them and mine don't. I think the only spell they've cast this game that's not also in my deck is Thoughtseize. They drew this Wasteland with no target. This Watery Grave hurt them on the way in. This Flooded Strand, I don't know if they're playing 1 or 2 Underground Seas these days, so I'm not going to make any definitive statements about whether this fetch land's going to hurt them or not. Okay, end step. Terramander. Inflate your butt. Become huge. Salamander Drake. Here we go. 5/5 creature. Now that that's out of the way, I can slam my Murktide at full size, holding up Stubborn Denial the whole time. If they have Force of Will and then a Stub or Daze of their own, they can clear my Murktide, but all that's going to cost them life points and cards. Daze. All right, I'm getting double dazed? Sure. I'm going to pay. No world where I don't pay. Oh, okay. They were just tapping me out. Interesting. I don't have a good attack here. I can put them to 3 and lose Delver and Terramander. That's not good. I can just kill them next turn. Fetched in the end step, cost them 1 life, but they did sneak a Watery Grave in tapped. I know they have Underground Sea in their hand and 4 mystery cards. Snuff Out's precarious at this point. Going to 1 is a tough sell. That turns off so many cards in their deck. They can hardcast Snuff Out. I'm to Turok. I mean, forcing this is pretty similar to letting it resolve, except I get to have the 2 cards that I want instead of cards at random. Yeah, Stub and Murktide are the cards I actually want in my hand. And they made a Gurmag Angler, which grows their Murktide. I have a similar trick in mind. Gurmag doesn't fly, which is a problem. They are just dead on board here. If I untap, I can stub their Snuff Out, which is the only card that saves them. And Snuff Out doesn't save them anyway, because they're still taking the max. Yeah, I just turn all my flying creatures sideways, and this game is over. Trying to think of what they could even have, like in the scope of both Magic the Gathering and what's in their deck. All right, cool. That was fun. Their black cards didn't show up in time, and they ended up just being a more painful version of the same deck as me. Happy to live in that world. I think I do want the Wasteland. I like Subtlety. Dismember is good against some of their creatures, but not against Death Shadow. I don't think I can Court of Cunning this deck. They've shown me Brazen Borrower. Force of Negation and Dress Down coming out. I really like the Pongifies in this matchup. Just Death Shadow is so much bigger than 3/3. Just like 8/8 vanilla in exchange for 3/3 vanilla is a great deal. Echoing Truth, probably worth having. They have a ton of discard, so I do like the spell soft counters. I think I can shave a Force of Will. Do I want to back off on Daze or more forces for Dismembers? You have Gurmag Angler, that card's a pain in the ass. And I'm going to shave a Daze and a Force for 2 Dismembers, and this is my plan. I did not bring in Court of Cunning on the draw. I'll consider it if there's a game on. I'll keep my hand looking good. We got threats and cantrips. That's all I want. And if they give me an opening to crack off this Wasteland, I'm going to do it. Like if they Watergrave Thoughtseize me here, Wasteland's coming. They're a really land-light deck, and cutting their mana out from under them is a problem. If they Delver, I'll have to think about it. Okay, Thoughtseize it is. Wasteland's coming your way. Coming in hot. I played the NRG Ohio team constructed event a couple weeks ago, and my legacy seat was on Death Shadow, and every time I looked over, he was just either dying to Wasteland or winning with exactly 2 lands in play. And I hope to put this opponent into the dying to Wasteland spot. It at least turns off him to Turok for quite some time. No land drop, go. No land drop, go. Or Wasteland. You could play Wasteland. Oh, no land drop, go. We got him in the hooks team. They did take the Delver off Thoughtseize, so I gotta get something going. But yeah, this is an aggressively land-light deck. I even boarded in a 4th Wasteland. No, they found it. Well, I kind of broke serve here, where now I'm kind of playing from the on the play position, because they missed their land drop for 1 turn, which let me resolve a land, or get a land into play. I don't think I'm in a position where I want to be stubbing Ponders, so there I am. They missed a land drop, spiked one off the top. Let's fight over it. And if they want to daze this, it sets them back another land. Anyway, I was saying, like, now I have the first land in play, which totally changes the dynamics of Daze mirrors and Wasteland mirrors. Maybe shoulda. Well, I didn't want to get dazed, but spiking this Wasteland makes me feel like a big dummy. Hybridization and Polluted Delta can go on top. My plan is to daze whatever they do this turn, then waste them, and then hopefully the game is over to Murktide Regent shortly after that. This one's tricky. I'm going to let them have this, which I hope I don't regret, but attacking their mana, like, they have to ponder for land here. If there's no land, they shuffle. If there's a land, they keep, and there's basically no middle ground. And keeping the daze to protect the Murktide, they did not shuffle, so we can fully expect a land drop here. A Shadow, okay. Glad I held on to daze for that one. Yeah, that Brainstorm last turn was pretty bad, not gonna lie. I'm gonna shuffle away the Polluted Delta and Hybridization. Now that I picked up a land for days, I don't need to draw Polluted Delta. I have land drop set up for a while. Murktide backed by Force of Will or Wasteland You are my 2 plays here. Murktide. And I exiled my Wasteland. I had 3 spells and then some non-spells to exile, and I exiled Wasteland over Polluted Delta because if they have Surgical Extraction, I want to keep the Wasteland in my hand. Just minor thing on the edge there, but it could matter. Ultimate Price. I'm going to pitch Archmage Charm because I'm probably not casting that for a long time. Oh, they had the force. All right, it cost you a Murktide Regent in this exchange. Deal. Come on, Delver. Thought Scour. I'm going to Brainstorm first. Stifle, that's nasty. I'm going to put Looted Delta and Thought Scour on top of the deck. I can waste them, and then I can Stifle a fetch land or counter a cantrip. They're down to 1 card in hand. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, not like this. Uh-oh. Okay. Now I have to answer this Death Shadow somehow. Thought Scour is on top of my deck. I can clear the Looted Delta and draw a card here. Echoing Truth, cool. That's a start. The Shadow will be back. It was smart of them to go all the way to their draw step before trying to make a move on this fetch land. That gives them a chance to draw Stubborn Denial, Daze, whatever, and actually their land. And they still lose the life from fetching, even if it gets countered. So this is a 5/5. Another land. I can Echoing Truth and protect it with Spell Pierce. If I Truth now, they just replay it, and I start taking 5 again next turn. If I Truth in the end step, they have to replay it next turn. I guess I'll give them the chance to cast the other Death Shadow and get both Truthed. Okay. Now it's bigger. That changed my play. Don't have a counterspell right now. I might have a counterspell next turn. Okay, that's my tiebreaker. I'll just go to 6 and hope they don't play Gurmag Angler. Black mana. Yeah, okay, perfect. This was the ideal setup. I still need to like rip Wasteland or something here, but this is a nice little bottleneck I have them in. Okay, now I can pick up... Oh, I pitched the Archmage Charm. That sucks. Mystic Sanctuary is live, but yeah, I pitched an Archmage Charm rather than cast it earlier, so I don't have access to that. I'll probably just have to grab like Ponder out of my, or Brainstorm out of my graveyard here and hope it's good. Mystic Sanctuary. I could get the Echoing Truth just to be alive, but that just buys me 1 turn, and Ponder sees 3 cards, which is 3 turns worth of cards. Or, I keep saying Ponder, it's Brainstorm. I would love to get Ponder here. I think that card would be better than Brainstorm in this spot. All right, Archmage Charm, give it to me. Archmage Charm, Brazen Borrower, oh, Terramander. That's not enough. Dismember kills me outright. Is this game still playable? I'm gonna play Fiery Islet, draw a card right away. This puts Spell Pierce in my hand. I attack. Yeah, okay. Yeah, pitching the Archmage Charm. I think if Archmage Charm is in my graveyard there, I win, because my Shadow was hilariously bigger than theirs. Now I'm on the play. Do I think Court of Cunning is something I want? It's an angle that my deck has that's pretty exciting. And a lot of their creatures do take setup. Like the Murktides, the Gurmags, the Death Shadow. None of those are really 1-drops. I'm on max Stifle, max Wasteland. I think I do like it that way. I'm just not sure where I would put this Court of Cunning. I need to cut a card, and I like all my cards. Could cut Dismember. It actually just doesn't kill a lot of the cards it needs to. Fungified, 2 Wastelands, Murktide, keep. I'm just gonna float this island in play, make them scared of Daze, or scared of Stifle. If they spend a turn just floating a fetch land in play and not getting stifled, that lets me develop my fetch land to go with my Brainstorm. And if they just Thoughtseize me, they're getting wasted. Got the double waste start. Okay. Is the Thoughtseize plan? I'm gonna Brainstorm in response. I kind of like the idea of hiding Murktide Regent. I'm gonna put Murktide Regent and, or is it Subtlety Stifle? I'm pretty far away from doing a Murktide. So Subtlety Stifle on top. I like Subtlety. And I love hiding the Stifle. Just waste you, hold up a secret Stifle. That's my plan. Pongify. Are we going to see a Thoughtseize taking Pongify? Is it time? The final evolution of Legacy as a format? We did. Thoughtseize taking Pongify. Respect. Oh, you knew this was coming. You saw the 2 Wastelands. In we go. Gonna beat on you for it. You didn't see the Stifle. You know I hid something with Brainstorm. And you know what I hid was worse than Murktide Regent. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Crack it. Crack it. Okay. We were playing chicken on this fetch land. I'm ready when you are. I do have the Stifle. I promise. The Underground Sea's in the graveyard, which they might have two. They might only have one. But Underground Sea being eliminated is just fewer lands in their deck that don't hurt them on arrival. Wow, missed a land drop. Yeah, we're in here. It's happening, team. I'm gonna brainstorm now, see if I can get a threat into play. I'm also trying to apply pressure on, like, get them to panic and fetch. Because if they sculpt up a situation where they can, like, play a normal land, Thoughtseize me, take the Stifle, fetch, this whole game can collapse, or this whole plan can collapse. But if they're like, oh, the brainstorm might give them Stifle, time to fetch now, it's now or never. But they've seen the Wasteland, so I guess that doesn't make any sense. All right, I'm off it. Okay, here is the thing that I was describing. Oh, I'm gonna get you. And they could spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, whatever here. Hope they don't. I'm really not trying to get him to Taroct right now. Stubborn Denial. I will pay the 1. It can daze and really fight this thing through. But again, that sets them back a land. Okay. All right, yep. Daze sets you back a land. Your fetch resolves. You know I have another Wasteland. You know I have Murktide Regent. So I'm going to Wasteland Murktide this turn. Okay, just didn't even have a play with the Watery Grave. Just got it in. Archmage Charm, the secret best card in my deck that they haven't seen yet. They do have Snuff Out in their deck. Not a lot I can do about that from this position. Like, if they're setting up a big Death Shadow, okay, force pitching Murktide Regent, that's a deal. Okay. We both have 3 cards in hand, and I have 3 lands in play to their 0. So this game, I am ahead, but they are a deck that can win with a single creature. But not if I steal it. Death Shadow resolves. Thought Scour. I would like to find a land so I can play around Daze. That's my perfect world here. Brazen Borrower could buy me some time. Oh, baby. Yeah, I guess returning Thought Scour is as good as anything. You know, I'd rather cast the Archmage Charm than recur that, but I need the land in order to... this is just a kill spell. Yeah, if I take Death Shadow, it just dies. Yeah, maybe I'll hold up the counter spell for a turn, but untapping gives them stubby D. Yeah, maybe I should have just tried to take control of it and rebuy it if it didn't work. All right, I'm pivoting because I forgot that Death Shadow just dies if I take it. I can hold up Subtlety for the turn. I can Brazen Borrow. Like, every card in my hand I can cast. Here comes the Shadow. Here's the big fetch, and I'll borrow this. And by borrow, I mean steal. It's funny because I have a card called Borrower in my deck. This is a 4/4, so, and I couldn't get around that. I guess I should have let them take 2 before they knew they didn't have a Death Shadow anymore. And I'm ready to Brazen Borrower a Murktide. Him to Tarock's a beating. Oh god. Oh yeah. Ugly, filthy Magic the Gathering happening here. Okay, now they have caught up. We both have 1 card in hand. I have 4 lands to their 2. Let's scour me. Time to find a Murktide Regent. Too easy. So there's a little bit of dancing here. My deck does have Daze in it, and Murktide Regent dies and kills in 2 hits just as a 5/5. But if they play their own Murktide, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it'll be bigger than mine. Yeah, I think I do need to just exile the most spells I can. Make this as big as possible. All right, 6/6 creature. Go. We're both just tap out, slap out. I can beat a Death Shadow. I can beat a Gurmag Angler. Their Murktide's better than mine. Snuff Out stabilizes the board. We've seen Ultimate Price, so they have like actual Doomblades in their deck. Ponder did not shuffle, but then Brainstorm. There's definitely no Underground Seas left. There's not 3 in the deck. This is going to be Watery Grave, which puts you dead, so you must have a removal spell. Oh wait, you have 1 card in your hand. Yeah, they're swinging wildly for Snuff Out right now. That's what's going on. Ponder shuffled. And we did it. That is a 4-1 with mono blue Delver. Good stuff. We beat actual Delver, Is It Delver along the way, and Death Shadow, which are two other blue tempo decks, choosing to splash various things for various reasons, and we reign supreme. I kind of feel like just a second Dress Down and third Brazen Borrower is better than the Pongifies, but the Pongifies were pretty cool. That's just like, how do you want to remove things? I love the floor of Dress Down of just cycle if it's not good, and just smearing the Urza Saga matchups is really good because I imagine those are tough. Terramander did get big. It was not a terrible Mander this league. We actually did. It did arrive. It did win some games on its own. It did play important roles in others. I appreciate you, Terramander. Trans Icon Terramander. Terramander won the Pro Tour, by the way. This is a Pro Tour winning Magic card. I'll leave it alone for now. I appreciate you. The Stifles were pretty cool. I like that there's not 4. There's like enough to be annoying, but not so many that you get flooded out on Stifles, because it's not always good. I do wonder if the 4th Wasteland in the main is something you want to do, because Wasteland was a really important part of my plan at all points, especially with Stifle Days. Like, this is just old school Delver before it learned how to actually draw cards. It was just Tempo Delver and the Stifle Days Wasteland trifecta. Not maxing out on 2 of those 3 cards. There might be something there. I'm not going to say it's wrong, but there's something there. Those are really the only notes I had. The deck was really great. The plan was clear. We were able to keep forward momentum at all times. The games we lost were the ones where we didn't keep the forward momentum, so we did it more often than not, but maybe like 1 or 2 more threats. That Brazen Borrower switch that I mentioned, like turn one of the Pongifies into Brazen Borrower, would add another threat to the deck. I think Ethereal Forager stretches too far. You have both Terramander and Murktide trying to use your graveyard for value. I wouldn't go harder into graveyard stuff. The Chalice of the Void, I gotta wonder if there's a better card than that. Because there's not a single matchup on Richard Garfield's internet that Chalice on 1 is better against them than it is against us. This is our whole deck. We don't have Cavern. We don't have any way to sneak through it. Like, this has to just come in for matchups where things cost 0 and you're worried about them. And I just wonder if like a Surgical Extraction or Null Rod or Mindbreak Trap or just like some other card makes more sense for that. It never came up in this league. I'm sure King of the Depths has good reasons for this one, but don't love it. It also steps on Energy Flux, and the matchups I'm picturing that we want Chalice on 0 for are like 8-cast and Storm, and Energy Flux is markedly for one of those 2 matchups, and then you have to pay for your own Chalice, and if this was just like a different card, then you wouldn't get that friction. Subtlety was all-star. I kind of want more subtleties, maybe in the main deck even, like turn Pongify into Subtlety, get one in the main. That might be a place to go. Yeah, those are my rudimentary thoughts after playing 5 matches with the deck. King of the Depths, I know you've been working on this a long time. I hope those thoughts are helpful. Thank you for submitting this. It was a lot of fun. Also, thank you for the work you do moderating my Discord. I appreciate that. Everybody else watching, if you want to hang out with me and King of the Depths and everyone else in the Discord, check out the Patreon link in the video description. Check out all those other links that support the channel as well. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, I appreciate you, and I'll see you for the next one.